The weather forecast with MTN.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for making our time to join me once again on this edition of the weather forecast. I believe you had an interesting day. Tonight, we look forward to experience a calm weather across the nation, especially in the Adamawa, West, and the East regions, and temperatures may get as low as 16 degrees in the West and Northwest regions, the Adamawa and Center as low as 19 degrees, and we may have the East, South, DOUALA, Southwest, North, and Far North regions expect temperatures to get as low as between 20 to 23 degrees. Detailing, we take you over to the West region where no precipitation is expected and a similar experience by morning, though with a clouded sky and temperatures between 14 to 18 degrees. Next, we move over to the Adamawa region where a similar situation is expected with no precipitation tonight, progressing to morning with temperatures expected at a range between 16 to 20 degrees. Lastly, we move over to the East region where no rainfall may occur in the region tonight, and a similar thing by morning, though with a clouded sky and temperatures between 18 to 20 degrees. I urge you to continue to sleep under well-treated mosquito nets and also watch over the quality of water that you drink. Thank you for watching and have a good night.
The 23rd session of the National Road Board highlights the necessity for stakeholders to abide by the Public Contracts Code and conclude the categorization of companies for better output in the execution of road infrastructure projects. Invoices owed to the state service providers worth 50 billion CFA francs are being disbursed as government engages to write off its debts and cushion the effects of the coronavirus on small and medium-sized enterprises. Cameroon filmmakers increasingly gaining recognition 24 years into the Crown Noir Film Festival with awards and commendable quality. The Silver Jubilees plan to trace the evolution of the industry. Those were the headlines of the 7:30 News. Good evening.
Each of us must comply with the measures that have been taken.
We begin our 30-minute newscast with the maturation of road projects and its impacts on the quantity and quality of execution that has come under sharp focus at the 23rd session of the National Road Board. Presided over today by Prime Minister Joseph John Gute, the session laid emphasis on the conformity to the Public Contracts Code and for feasibility in the study and implementation of road infrastructures. Christian Chatham has details of the meeting held via video conferencing.
Many road projects in Cameroon have been heavily delayed because they never attained the required level of maturation before they were awarded. This 23rd session of the National Road Board, the first to be chaired by Prime Minister Joseph John Gute, examined the issue with the view of contributing to the improvement of road projects in the country. The Minister of Public Works, Emmanuel Ngano Jumesi, presented technical studies as the core of the maturation of road projects in Cameroon, while his counterpart in charge of public contracts, Ibrahim Talba Mala, presented the architecture of contract award from start to the end of projects. Prime Minister Joseph John Gute, chairperson of the National Road Board, speaking at the start of the session, said Cameroon has recorded improvements in norms governing the award of public contracts, enforced public-private partnerships, and put in place a mechanism for the accelerated payment of expropriation rights. The Prime Minister regretted that other projects such as the Yaoundé-Douala and Yaoundé-Simaleng motorways still suffer from poor maturation. He called on stakeholders of the road sector to conform to Public Contracts Code. Joseph John Gute has equally given instructions for the drawing up and vulgarization of a technical guide on the maturation of road projects in Cameroon.
Stakeholders in the road sector are meeting at a time when a number of road construction projects experience excessive delays due to a non-mastery of procedures. The exorbitant costs of building that sometimes surpasses the normal rates, as well as administrative bottlenecks, are some of the issues the Ministry of Public Works has been addressing lately. Joyce Kimbi-Fuwaju reports on some of the reforms adopted.
Top on measures geared at reducing the cost of road projects in Cameroon are quality of preliminary studies, the cost of in-depth technical studies, disponibility of material, notably bituminous tar, for which its production unit is being envisaged. Exploitation of cheap material like plastic to reduce the dependence on tar that is very costly and being imported into the country. A policy on the reduction of cost on the acquisition of public works material, as well as the payment on time of their bills to avoid delays. Application of detailed estimation of road project that has already been tested on the Sang-Malima-Weso road under construction is also being foreseen.
We have been discussing with our partners on how to master the cost of the road construction in order to reduce the cost by making our people to adjust themselves in what we are looking for, not in what they are intent to do for us. So economy has been made already on the section Juvenile Minto, 740 millions.
Certainly prove that reduction in the current high cost of road construction project in Cameroon is not a dream, but a possibility.
The Yaoundé-Simalen motorway is also one of these structural projects that is limping due to the non-indemnization of the local population. CPDM senators of the Central Region, led by Sylvester Naundwa, were at the site today to get first-hand knowledge on the obstacles that hinder the smooth completion of the stretch. Charles Anyangwe reports that they have resolved to work with the administration and council authorities.
Construction work on the Yaoundé-Simalen motorway that was supposed to last for 3 years has now taken 6 years and is yet uncompleted.
The senator of the center has decided to come here to see how this project is managed and realized.
The major difficulties hindering the completion of the project, according to the head of the control mission, Bahumi Buhav, are the fact that some areas where the road has to pass have not been vacated by the population of Ahala. Also, the government primary school Mayos, which is operational, is on the motorway. Apart from these weaknesses, about 4 kilometers of the road is made up of marshy areas, which is a big handicap to the construction company. In order to resolve these difficulties, senators of the Central Region resolved during this working session to work closely with the Ministry of Urban Development and some decentralized territorial collectivities in the Central Region in order to address these issues.
And now on to diplomacy. The outgoing Swiss ambassador to Cameroon, His Excellency Pietro Lazzeri, says his country will continue to enjoy cooperation ties with Cameroon based on mutual respect and understanding. This was at a farewell audience granted him today by Prime Minister Joseph John Gutte. The Swiss diplomat who moves to Brazil reiterated that bilateral links between both nations will be improved. Take a listen.
Able to consolidate Cameroon and Yaoundé as a regional hub. We have more diplomats working on humanitarian issues, on peace issues, on migration issues, and I had the honor of developing the activities in these areas. Humanitarian aid, peace promotion, and to see some difficulties of Cameroon in terms of opportunity to share to our Cameroonian friends our expertise. Of course, a lot remains to be done. This is the reason why I have a great successor and a team that will continue to work on the topics I started.
And to one of our top stories, economic operators and other service providers have begun receiving the sum of 50 billion CFA francs disbursed on the instructions of President Paul Biya to counter the effects of the coronavirus pandemic. The payments of the invoices at Treasury accounting posts supervised by the Ministry of Finance translates the state's intention to write off its debts. Clarice Ari Takan tells us more.
Stamped and ready to go with the names of those concerned with the latest debt servicing exercise of the state. 50 billion CFA francs for economic operators, service providers, public entities, and decentralized territorial collectivities. At the root is the desire to lessen the impact of COVID-19 on the activities of many structures. The invoices and authorized payments include expenditure by July 31, 2020 for the main pay office and public establishments and up till August 31, 2020 for general treasuries.
All our clients will be paid because we constitute all the files. They can go to their bank to check if the bank received the money. They can come here to print payment listing. The amounts due have been transferred to the various banks for onward payment to their customers. At more than 10,000 billion CFA francs, representing 45.8% of the GDP, Cameroon's debt remains sustainable, a situation which justifies the fact that the state has no accrued external debts, officials of the Autonomous Sinking Fund explain.
The National Strategy for Inclusive Finance in Cameroon is being updated by financial experts and officials of the United Nations Development Programme at a two-day workshop presided over today by Finance Minister Louis-Paul Motazé. Focus was placed on easing access to financial services for poverty alleviation and economic growth. Caroline Okier-Anoma has the details.
Financial inclusion have been a fundamental issue for governments and policymakers around the world. This was mentioned by Finance Minister Louis-Paul Motazé in his opening address and echoed by the Director General of Cameroon's Treasury.
There's no way you can reduce poverty without giving access to financial services. It's not just a matter of having bank accounts, but actually permitting people to be able to use those accounts to carry out operations. More and more, they will be able to have access to financial services at their door.
Only about 10% of the population of Cameroon have access to financial services.
Having access to a banking system is very important. It has to include the most vulnerable household of the population. It should not be only finance, should not only be in big cities to rich people. It should also be in rural areas and also be available for the most vulnerable population.
With over 70% of the population having access to mobile telephones, experts will be brainstorming on other ways to make access to financial services more active in Cameroon.
Still in development news, hundreds of youth in the Adamawa region can now begin their economic and agricultural ventures stress-free thanks to financial assistance registered on the Special Youth Triennial Plan. The Minister of Youth Affairs and Civic Education, Mununa Futsu, was in Nyambaka to distribute the funds and to facilitate the field supervision of their projects. Alice Waji Bangmia tells us more from Gaundere.
Close to 40 youth associations in the Adamawa region benefited from checks corresponding to the financing of projects in the agricultural, craft, digital economy and innovation sectors. While thanking the head of state for the 3-year special youth plan, the beneficiaries affirmed they will be able to create some 165 new jobs in the region.
The example of Yambaka is there to show that even in those rural areas, the people are benefiting from the 3-year special youth plan.
During the event in Nyambaka, moral, civic and entrepreneurial rearmament kits, such as motorbikes and sound recording equipment, were handed over to officials of decentralized services of the ministry.
They should seize those opportunities to involve themselves in the implementation of this 3-year special youth plan.
Various officials have thus encouraged Adamawa youth to always implement civic and patriotic values all the time.
On to our investigative report. Slightly over a month into the new school year, officials are concerned about pupils getting the best from their studies. This objective is nonetheless sometimes thwarted by bullying, which traumatizes learners and their ability to concentrate. It ranges from verbal attacks to physical assaults and the destruction of the items of the victims. Constantine Baum investigates on this vice that must be checked in the school milieu.
In order not to disclose his identity, I prefer to call this 10-year-old boy Ben. Ben finds himself today at home and not in class, going through his books and at times consoling himself with a TV. He is one of the many children being repeatedly bullied in school.
They were jumping on me, boxing me, shooting me. I said I would go and tell to the GM. They refused. They said that if you go and tell, we shall say that you was with us. Me, I don't want that it should happen again to other children and to me again.
Students like Ben need school to be a positive climate where they feel safe, allowing them to focus on the learning necessary for them to be successful. Reasons why some parents will not hesitate to move their children to safer schools.
I think I have to change the school because I want my child living not dead. I think I will change the school.
Bullying is a prevalent form of youth violence, particularly in school settings.
We've had an increase in the rate of violence in our school milieu. When these children consume drugs like Indian hemp, tramol, with the influence of it, we find them, they're in a secondary state that pushes them to do things that maybe in their normal state they won't do it.
Although bullying is sometimes seen as a part of growing up or kids being kids, bullying is a serious problem as it increases in late childhood and peaks in early adolescence. Attention has to be given to it to make the school safe.
Hopefully, bullying will be taken seriously and also severely punished by school authorities. In other news, Cameroon's Jaila Amadou Amal is one of the 2020 finalists for the prestigious French Literary Prize, Prix Goncourt. The author of the novel titled Les Impatientes was among 4 authors retained for the award last October 27, and the winner will be announced today in Paris, France. The woman's activist, who hails from the far north region, is the first Cameroonian to become finalist, and if selected, she will become the 3rd African woman to grab the distinction for over a century. The 45-year-old has won several other prizes, including Prix d'Orange, du Livre, and Afrique. Over 1,000 military officers have been injured during the socio-political upheaval in the northwest and southwest regions. The DOUALA military hospital has been an important unit where these soldiers have been receiving medical and psychological aid. The minister delegate at the presidency in charge of defense, Joseph Betia Somo, was at the hospital to encourage them. Albert Ndiembond reports on the visit that ends the joint security mission to the southwest and littoral regions.
Scenes of soldiers maimed or bedridden are common to the DOUALA military hospital. Doctors explained to Joseph Betia Somo the situations which speak of the intensity of the battles ranging in the line of duty. But 3 of them get special attention. Blaise Tangye amputated both legs after stumbling on a landmine in Then Ginyogi and Noga Hans shot on the head, while announcing that the 3 will be evacuated to more appropriate medical facilities within and without the country. Joseph Betia Somo extends a message of gratitude and encouragement from President Paul Biya to the soldiers for risking their lives to save lives, a mission accomplished with honor and loyalty.
Still in security news, ex-separatist fighters in the Disarmament, Demobilization and Reintegration Center in the southwest who are undergoing training have been challenged to remain steadfast in order to facilitate their insertion in society. The national coordinator of the program, Fayengo Francis, urged them during an evaluation mission to the center where he encouraged others in the bushes to lay down their weapons and join the center. Charles Abuno has the details.
It was with a lot of fanfare that the trainees of the Southwest Regional DDR Center welcomed the national coordinator of their structure, Fayengo Francis. Guided by the coordinator of the Southwest Regional DDR Center, Bernard Ndode-Mesape, Fayengo Francis made a tour of some structures within the center. These include the living quarters of their trainees, the sewing and IT workshop, the piggery, and the poultry.
It is so that tomorrow, when we are going to settle people, they should be able to fend for themselves.
An appeal has been made to the trainees to be patient as to when they would leave the center.
We don't want to take the risk to send these guys on the streets because people are angry.
The trainees of the Southwest Regional DDR Center have expressed hope for even better days ahead at the facility.
Away from the Southwest region, the construction of the new edifice to host Cameroon's National Assembly is 12% gone, with engineers finalizing the leveling and foundations of the structure spread over some 9 hectares of land. The coordinator of the follow-up committee of the project, Honorable Theodore Dato, was at the site today to evaluate the progress of the work financed by the Chinese government to the tune of 54.5 billion CFA francs. Details in this report. A brief presentation of the architectural model of the new edifice, and members of the committee are treated to excavated heaps of earth for the foundation of the structure. Workers and engineers are on their task. The tower crane drills, and further off, pillars of the 400-seat house chamber are visible. And to measure the weight of the 14-story office tower, footing and depiling are on course.
You put in the pile with the load that you expect it to carry, plus a safety margin. We're looking at 900 tons for each pile.
The coordinator of the project, Honorable Theodore Dato, applauds the efforts made in spite of delays blamed on the undemolished residence of the chair of the Economic and Social Council and the coronavirus pandemic. Nonetheless, at a press briefing, the committee remains upbeat that with work expected to be hastened by December this year, the 42-month deadline to have a state-of-the-art and befitting National Assembly headquarters will be met.
The wearing of face masks in public places will be mandatory until further notice.
The coronavirus continues to claim lives, and even when patients have fully recovered, there is a possibility that they can be reinfected. Recent studies have proven these facts, and as such, health practitioners caution that no one is exempt from contracting the virus more than once in a lifetime. Baldwin Sama tells us how evident this is with his guest, Dr. Joseph Fokam, at the Public Health Emergency Operations Center. Hello, Baldwin.
Good evening to you, Esther Kim. I should say it has been a topic of discussion among Cameroonians, especially those who had once been tested positive for COVID-19, whether or not it is possible for an individual who, for example, has recovered from the coronavirus to once more get reinfected with the virus. We discussed that tonight with our guest, Dr. Joseph Fokam. He is a virologist. Good evening to you, Doctor.
Good evening, Baldi.
Looking at the Cameroonian context, how possible is it, medically speaking, for someone who had once been tested positive, he recovered from the virus, to get reinfected once more with the coronavirus?
Absolutely. Within the cohort of patients that we have tested so far, we are now seeing cases of reinfection. And why are these people being reinfected? It's simply because antibodies developed against coronavirus tends to disappear 2 to 3 months after the first infection. So this person becomes very vulnerable, and there is a high risk without any antibody available for the persons to get reinfected again.
And what explains this particular situation?
This particular situation is just because the antibody that we develop against coronavirus is not lifelong. It has a very short life. And because of this short life, some months after being infected, your body appears to be purely vulnerable, and there is a risk for a second infection. And this is also why, even though coronavirus is very stable in terms of the virus, the fact that the immune system being put in place after a first exposure is not lifelong, patients tend to get easily reinfected. And because of this concept also, developing a vaccine so far has been a major challenge.
Thank you so much, Dr. Joseph Fokam, for being a guest this evening. We must continue respecting these barrier measures. It's not because you are recovered from the coronavirus that you can no longer be tested positive for COVID-19. We simply have to avoid any possibility where one can get infected with the coronavirus. Back to you, Esther Kima.
Thanks, Baldwin, for presenting the chances of someone getting reinfected with the coronavirus. On to our newsroom dossier tonight, we focus on the Cameroon film industry that is blossoming with a number of awards won both at the national and international levels. The most recent recognitions recorded were at the just-ended AFCON Film Festival, where the quality of actors and actresses, the content and the storyline stood out. Gerard Nanji Eyambe now presents some of the films that are on the honor roll.
Cameroon's cinematography is increasingly on the Hall of Fame. The Fisherman's Diary that won the best prize at the just-ended AFCON Film Festival is just one amongst many blockbusters.
Before AFCON, we had 27 awards spread out in different countries. AFCON Film Festival, we have the best Cameroonian film, the best Central African film, we have the best actress.
Content as well as technical know-how have played in favor of the film industry.
We came back home with the awards of best production and that of the best soundtrack.
Even though much has been achieved with limited resources, assistance is called for.
Young people in Cameroon are very excited about making movies. They are talented, they put a lot of energy and the personal resources, taking a lot of risk, but they're doing it alone. You know, there's no system that is actually helping to produce those talents.
The hope is that with cast and crew adequately equipped with all manner of resources, the Cameroon movie world just might be in the running for one of the best on the continent.
The 24th edition of the AFCON Film Festival has gone into the annals of history, but filmmakers are not relenting to win souls through their productions and to transcend the boundaries of fame. The Golden Jubilee of the festival has already been planned, with the evolution of the country's film industry and the projection of actors of the past envisaged. Emmanuel Avenue tells us more.
A silver jubilee to celebrate the evolution of cinema in Cameroon.
This need of celebration. We have a sort of gala. We want to invite all people. We want the main films what have been shown here in this festival to be screened again. Not screened only in cinema theater, but only on TVs.
10 days instead of the usual 7 from November 2021 will unite film actors for projections, colloquiums, film markets, and training in cinematography.
So that people see where we are coming from, where we are going. You know, we begin with 35mm films. Very heavy films. Today, in one small envelope, you have 20 films.
Cameroonian cinema has what it takes to produce fireworks at the anniversary celebrations. Organizers are confident.
What I hope is that we have a very good production for next year. You know, to have a very good African films in competition, to have a very good colloquium, to have a very good market.
Let the countdown begin.
On today's advertorial, one of Cameroon's leading insurance companies, Area Assurance, is on a sensitization to present its offers to the population of the littoral and center regions. Colette Jani has more.
Trust has been an invaluable asset for Area Assurance the past 13 years in Cameroon, thanks to their rapid compensating procedures, spontaneity, and proximity to clients at a very reduced cost.
13 years after, it was very, very important for us to say thank you to all our customers for the support, but also to invite all our potential customers for the new future, for the bright future, because we are totally thinking that the future is right for Area company. We are expecting from the customer more support, more confidence, because from our side we are totally engaged to respect our word, our committee.
At a campaign launch in DOUALA as well as Yaoundé, the management of Area Assurance assured their clients of the commitment to continuously improve and modernize all products and services. Area Assurance has dedicated resources to meet the yearnings and expectations of clients.
Area insurance company is different compared to other companies because we are making sure every day that our engagement is respected. The consumer or our customer pay what he can receive back in terms of insurance, in terms of guarantee.
The communication campaign that will run for 3 months will permit the population of the Central region to understand the services rendered by Area Assurance Cameroon, who has paid up to 14 billion CFA francs as insurance claims since 2007.
And now in sports, the Lions Den is swelling up in Douala as 17 players turned up for today's training session ahead of Thursday's African Nations Cup qualifier against Mozambique. In spite of the absence of Captain Maxime Choupo-Moting and Jerome Ongene, the training went on hitch-free. Meantime, the Mozambique squad was subjected to a COVID-19 test. Jill Ndema reports.
Andre Onana, Kunde Malong, Jay Clinton, Oyongo Bitolo and 8 other players are the latest to join the squad during the second training session of the Lions at the Reunification Stadium. With most of the players in Douala, Team Cameroon is determined to win the game, counting for day 3 of the 2022 AFCON qualifiers in Cameroon. The seriousness and the serenity during the training session is a guarantee. However, the tight security led to tension between security agents and the press. Meanwhile, the senior men's national team of Mozambique arrived Douala on Tuesday. After the obligatory COVID-19 test, the players of head coach Luis Gonçalves also trained for the first time. The Mozambican delegation will grant a press conference on Wednesday, while waiting for the clash against Cameroon on Thursday at 5 p.m. local.
Our main story tonight was that the 23rd session of the National Road Board has highlighted the necessity for stakeholders to abide by the Public Contracts Code and to conclude the categorization of companies for better output in the execution of road infrastructure projects. More news comes up at 8:30 p.m. with Adan Bala. I'll be back tomorrow at 7:30 p.m. God willing. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned to our programs on CRTV and CRTV News. Good night.
In this connection, we should avoid stigmatizing